I'm David Jaffe, the game director of this title right here, Drawn to Death.
So how has this game evolved since PSX?
Well, a lot of it's just sort of we took a lot of feedback. At PSX, we had people come right from playing the game, like you see behind me, to a little table with the developers there going, give us feedback. What was good, what was bad, what would you change? And we took all that feedback back to the office, and the last 6 months has been new development as well as addressing those concerns directly. So tuning, polish, people saying, we love the way the game looks, but we need more color to help separate weapons and characters. So we've added a much more colorful world, although it still maintains the vision of being in this teenage kid's notebook. We've tuned the game better so players can get better hits more easily. So it's still a very hardcore game, but it's a little bit more friendly for new players coming in. So all kinds of things like that.
Talk about the origin and where this idea came from.
Wow, well, I mean, it started because I wanted us to do a game with stick figures, and it was like, we were calling it Stick Figures Shootout. And as we just started the development process, we were like, okay, well, we know there's stick figures on paper in a notebook, but whose notebook is this? And immediately we're like, oh, this should be a teenage kid's notebook. And once we glommed into that, we were like, well, teenage kids aren't drawing stick figures. We went onto Google and we remembered back what we were drawing as kids, and it's like, it wasn't great art, but it felt more like it was trying to be something cooler than just a stick figure. And so from all that research, we just kind of evolved it into what we think and what we remember our notebooks looking like in high school, and it sort of evolved into what is currently Drawn to Death.
Can you talk about some of the characters that are playable here?
Yeah, so all the characters in the game, I mean, what's great about the game, what I love about it is that on the surface, it's a great skill-based competitive shooter, but there is a total universe here. There's a world. All the characters have desires and goals. They all have relationships. We have a character called Johnny Savage who has this demonic guitar named Mike on his back that talks to him. And we have a character named Diablo Tijuana who's part demon. So there's actually a relationship between the demon trapped in the guitar and the character Diablo Tijuana, and another character, Cyborgula, which is half vampire, half cyborg. And they all basically are fighting for control of this demonic guitar that has a spirit. What I like about that is that's a cool story point, but it's also gameplay, because you can use Mike the guitar, the demonic guitar, in the game as weapons, and depending on who you are, Diablo Tijuana can actually, you can't hurt her with it. She can absorb the demon into her body because she's part demon. So again, on the surface you're like, what are you talking about, Jaffe? This is just a really fun action, deep arcade shooter, and that's absolutely true. But what we want to do is, as players get into it and really start absorbing the story, they're like, holy cow, there's a universe here, there's a fiction and a lore here, that if you're into that, this pays that off.
What are you guys doing when it comes to multiplayer?
It's all multiplayer. So eventually we would love to do some single player content, but our launch title, which is coming out December, January, February, it's all multiplayer. All the story stuff I just told you about is integrated into the shell, it's integrated into the level design, it's integrated into the things the characters say to each other. So my kids were obsessed with Minecraft for a long time, and there was this sort of legend called Herobrine, which was like an evil version of Steve, the main character in Minecraft. Mojang never put it in the game, right? But all the people on YouTube were like, oh, I had a Herobrine sighting and all this shit. And I love the idea of, that really inspired us for this game to say, let's build all of this into the game. Let's build stuff into the background, like Bigfoot sightings and shit like that, that eventually players will start to, if they love the game, hopefully they will, they'll start to share that stuff online and uncover the fiction. Even though it's a straight up multiplayer game, they'll start to go, wow, this whole thing is taking place in a pretty interesting world beyond the fact that it's just a really fun, deep game.